Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, uh, good afternoon, the royals. Good afternoon to every uh, African. Good afternoon, kings and queens of the land. Good afternoon to uh, the liberated zones of Africa, um, Niger, under the leadership of President Abdurrahman Tian, the liberated zone in Mali under the leadership of President Asim Goita, um, the liberated zone in Burkina Faso under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traore. We salute them. We salute the lions of the Sahel for taking their motherland through the guns. We salute them for showing that Africans are brave. We salute them for showing that Africa can no longer tolerate, the young African can no longer take it anymore. Good afternoon to the liberated zone in South Africa under the leadership of President Zuma, KZN. Good afternoon to KwaZulu Natal under the leadership of the MK party in South Africa, KZN, being part of South Africa and being liberated by the MK party under the leadership of President Zuma. We salute you, President Zuma, for your attempt to take the motherland through the ballot. We salute President Zuma. Let it be noted that all these lions, we salute and love them. Today I want to talk about President Zuma membership to the ANC. Why I think that President Zuma is going to die a member of the ANC. He's going to be the member of the ANC until he passed on in this planet. Why do I think like that? But before I go in depth about what I want to talk about, I saw some video circulating, some other things that are happening in the world. South African President Ramaphosa takes over as the president of the G20 countries. The G20 countries is the union of powerful countries of the West plus few BRIC countries, which is, I think it's three BRICS countries, which is South Africa and China and Russia. I think those are represented in the G20. South Africa has been given the presidency as G20 presidency. Uh, those are other things that are happening. In other news, okay, let me first share the video that I want to share, which I find interesting.
talk so nicely about Thomas Sankara, but they are not saying the same about Captain Traore. They support Thomas Sankara because he's not there. They don't want to support Captain Traore, who is there, a son, a disciple of Thomas Sankara. The brave men and women of Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso deserve our respect, deserve our support. I'm saying brave because what they are doing requires courage. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the cowards who grovel before imperialism.
One love, go Africa.
Hello everyone, this time I brought you this powerful speech from a Pan-Africanist, Dr. Fred Membe from Zambia, who glorifying the revolutions in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So, kings and queens, welcome and listen from the beginning till the end. Don't skip the video, please. Watch from the beginning till the end. So, listen what Fred Membe said about the issue of revolutions in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. You're welcome.
I've heard some people talk so nicely about Thomas Sankara, but they are not saying the same about Captain Traore. They support Thomas Sankara because he's not there. They don't want to support Captain Traore, who is there, a son, a disciple of Thomas Sankara. Comrades, what is going on here is a revolutionary process that needs our support, that needs to be defended, that needs to be advanced with all the tenacity, with all the courage it takes. Some of us come from places, come from countries where they believe the periodic elections they hold are the only way for people's participation. But they forget, or we forget, that in a truly free world, democracy takes main forms of expression. It's not only one form of expression. You can vote with a pencil, and in some places, people have voted with their blood. The brave men and women of Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso deserve our respect, deserve our support. I'm saying brave because what they are doing requires courage. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the cowards who grovel before imperialism. The challenges they face are huge. The risks they have taken are immense. And it requires determination, it requires resoluteness, it requires a greater love for one's people and humanity in general. We are here to witness the transformation of this region. We are here to render solidarity to a place, an area of our continent that deserves it and needs it most. What is happening here is a big light being shown around the whole continent. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso are showing us the way. They are lighting the way for all of us to take. How we get there may differ, but what they are doing here, you can't avoid it. Whether you are an elected government or you have come through the military way, you can't avoid the transformations going here. They are asserting themselves in a manner that has not been done before. Imperialism is in panic. Imperialism is in shock. They didn't expect this. They didn't expect this boldness. They didn't expect this resolutness. They didn't expect this clarity. Speaker after speaker this morning was very clear on what is being done here, what is being advanced here, what is being promoted here, what is being defended here. They were very clear. And this clarity needs to be respected.
I just wanted to share how many people are saying he's talking about the disciple of Sankara, the son of Sankara himself, uh, Ibrahim Traore, who is a copycat, copy and paste of exactly the principle that Sankara stood for. How many leaders are calling themselves Sankara followers, but they've never commented or are afraid to comment now about what Ibrahim Traore is doing in Burkina Faso, which is liberating black people through the barrel of the guns. Such braveness, taking them on. Uh, of course, nobody could anticipate that a small nation like Burkina Faso can face France, and not necessarily France, America, and Europe, NATO, and decide to go with the gun option to liberate themselves. They should really be honored. A lot of we can say the same in South Africa. There's a lot of people who want to associate themselves with Oliver Tambo. There's a lot of people who want to associate themselves with Albert Lituli because he's not here. A lot of people want to associate themselves with Chris Hani because he's not here. People may have wished that the unity among black people, there's a lot of people. Basically, I haven't had any black person or any black leader says they don't want black unity. I have never had any black person confess says they don't want black unity. But none of the black people who were in politics up to today, besides President Zuma, have taken the initiative to unite black people. Mr. Ben Rupeka Maswanganyi says South Africa getting getting presidency of the G20 countries. I won't be shocked if another pandemic is revealed. I'll tell you something about it. I'll tell you something about it. Mr. Maswanganyi, thank you very much for joining. Everybody, you can mark your register there. Mark your register. Everybody, mark your register. Tell us who you are and where you watching us from. You can just tell us where you're watching us from. We'll be able to see who you are. Lot of people want to associate themselves with leaders of the ANC who are past, but they don't want to associate with the current leaders of the of the revolution. They don't want to associate themselves. Like I'm saying, I have heard a lot of black leaders talking. I have never heard a single black person says they don't want the unity among black people. But nobody has taken the initiative to make it happen until President Zuma did it. Some may wish somebody else did it, but nobody else but President Zuma did it in reality. Some may wish that the CIC should do it or should have done it. But it never happened under the CIC. The EFF is falling apart. It will not be able to unite black people because it's not even able to unite itself. President Jacob Zuma is the revolutionary who is brave as the Sahel lions, the lions of the Sahel states, the lions of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. President Zuma is as brave as all of those lions. Why do I think that President Zuma will die as the member of the ANC? Let me share this this video first about where they are talking about the dismissal of President Zuma in the ANC.
Zuma broke ranks and formed the Umkhonto weSizwe party in December, saying he no longer identifies with the ANC under the leadership of Cyril Ramaphosa. We're now joined by the ANC spokesperson, Mahlengu Bengu Mutsiri. Thank you so much for joining us in studio this evening.
Thank you for having us.
Is this finally the end of the road for the relationship between former President Jacob Zuma and the ANC?
Yes, certainly. From the perspective of the ANC, it is the end of the road because, the appeal, this committee has agreed with the National Disciplinary Committee on the strength of the argument by the ANC's chief presenter.
So at this point, no, there can't be any other approach that's taken. The former president can't go through any other structure whatsoever. This is it. It's done.
Absolutely. Not any other structure in the ANC. And we really are quite happy to bring an end to this chapter that's been ongoing and creating some uncertainty from some of our members and our supporters, and more broadly, South Africans. We are quite comfortable with we can put this behind us, and as the ANC can continue with the task of renewing ourselves, of self-cleansing, also the task of governance, where we are governing, and also as part of our role in the government of national unity, that we can hasten to bring services to the people of South Africa and not to be sidetracked by this matter.
And while you're saying, you can finally put this matter behind you, it does also seem that your former president is the gift that keeps on giving sometimes, because he just does remain a thorn in the ANC. Because
Let me just disturb her. Let me just disturb her and come in there. Let me come in there. She says this is how what the white system wishes. They wish that they can wish President Zuma away. President Zuma is in a mission to unite black people to become one force against the apartheid government and against the colonial system, against imperialism, against slavery in Africa. That is the aim. That is what President Zuma is aiming for. Uh, the ANC, uh, President Zuma wanted his hearing to be public to show that he's actually a transparent man. The ANC refused to make the hearing transparent because they knew what they are doing. It's actually corruption. It's actually corrupt. They are not going to give President Zuma any chance to present himself in the ANC disciplinary committee. So they dismissed. Just to give a little bit of background to those who don't know, President Zuma was expelled from the ANC for starting the MK party or for endorsing the MK party, for saying that he's not going to vote for the ANC of Ramaphosa, is going to vote for the MK party. Um, but President Zuma said he will remain the member of the ANC but vote for the MK party. So the ANC decided to expel President Zuma. So President Zuma have appealed his expulsion from the ANC, and the appeal of the ANC have upheld the expulsion of President Zuma from the ANC. So having upheld that appeal, according to them, this is a done deal about President Zuma. Nothing will happen. President Zuma will just go home to Nkandla and nothing will happen. But President Zuma has got another plan, because President Zuma is going to go to the branch in KwaZulu Natal. In KwaZulu Natal, the ANC in KwaZulu Natal has been announced now that the ANC in KwaZulu Natal will vote with the MK party should the MK party brings a vote of no confidence against the GNU in the KZN government. This will happen immediately, I think, in the new year. Immediately in the new year, before the end of February, I suppose. They said before the end of April, according to them, the government of the MK party would be installed in KZN. They have announced that the ANC will vote with the ANC in KwaZulu Natal will vote with the MK party to remove the GNU government and install the MK government in KwaZulu Natal. KwaZulu Natal, it's a region, if you don't know, where the MK party got most of its votes. Um, in KwaZulu Natal, the MK party got 14% of 45% of the vote in KwaZulu Natal, but the MK party has not been allowed to govern KwaZulu Natal due to fake coalitions between enemies, or between fake people who are sellouts to the white system. The coalition of white formed by the fearful white people against the government of KwaZulu Natal. The reason they decided to form this coalition to avoid the MK party from governing KwaZulu Natal is because of the budget which is involved, because KZN uh, KZN province has got what we call it's an ocean. It has got an ocean industry. So the budget there it's a bit higher because it includes the ports. So the management of the ports and all of those things, the white people does not want to allow the MK party to control all of those, because what they are going to do, they are going to give tenders to black companies. They are going to dismantle everything that the system of white people in KwaZulu Natal will be dismantled. 161 billion is the budget that KwaZulu Natal has to implement its services to the people. So that budget is the one that is the GNU is at war. So the ANC in KwaZulu Natal have already announced that they are going to vote with President Zuma if the MK party brings their a vote of no confidence. President Zuma wants to go to his branch. He's going to go to his branch because the President Zuma still has an option. The final decision maker in the ANC is not the committees. The final decision maker in the ANC is the conference. So if somebody from the floor raise the issue at conference, the issue only need majority support for it to be in the agenda. When it gets the majority support for the issue to be on the agenda, it's going to be in the agenda. Thank you very much. Mam Pumzile, Queen Pumzile Mchale joining us. Thank you very much for joining. She says the ANC law is lost very important. The ANC lost very important issue for expelled Zuma to lose voters by May. It's just a a wake up call coming just yeah, a wake up call coming. Just watch the space, because ANC failed the nation. Hi Mngoni, and thanks my boy. Thank you very much. Yes, let's continue with our analysis there. President Zuma is going to go to the branch and raise his issue that he feels it's unfair for him to be expelled. Remember, the ANC in KwaZulu Natal is already converted into MK. They don't have structures in KwaZulu Natal. They don't have members anymore really in KwaZulu Natal. All the structures that were ANC structures have been converted into MK structures. So when the structures are converted into MK structures, the ANC have got no foundation in KZN. So the members of the ANC in KZN are going to go with President Zuma. Let's remember, most of the structures have misaligned themselves with the current president and the current ANC. So the branch where President Zuma belongs in Kandla, they obviously want President Zuma back in the ANC. So when President Zuma raised the issue in his branch, the branch will go to raise the issue in the region, to canvass the issue in the region, and the region will canvass the issue to the province. And KwaZulu Natal will go to the conference united to raise the issue from the floor of the expulsion of President Zuma from the ANC. When the issue rises from the floor in the ANC conference, and the ANC conference resolved that President Zuma is back as the member of the ANC, it will be done with the GNU and Ramaphosa. That is the fear. That is what they are facing. similar to Krisani Ingubane saying similar to Krisani. Exactly similar. I think he's referring to the issue that people who there are other people who want to associate themselves, but they can't associate themselves with President Zuma because President Zuma is a revolutionary at the moment who is uniting black people and all the black people who claim to want to unite and who claim to be revolutionaries should unite behind President Zuma if they are real about their fight for liberation. President Zuma is the only person who is calling for unity of black people in South Africa. Why would you reject such a call if you really know that the unity of black people is going to liberate South Africa from the colonial masters? President Zuma says if we fight in pockets, we're not going to win the war. He wants to unite all black people, all political parties, all black political parties into one. He wants to collapse everything into one. He's going to collapse the ANC into the MK party. President Zuma wants to preserve the history of the ANC and its struggle credentials. He does not want the ANC to end uh, its plight to end the way it's ending now, being under the hands of the spies and being controlled by the imperialists, the Americans, the G20, the G7 countries, the NATO countries controlling, firmly in control of President Ramaphosa, the West firmly in control of President Ramaphosa. They want to what they want to achieve is to implement their what we call the climate change agenda. They were planning to have climate change uh, shutdowns, uh, like we had with the pandemic. Uh, so President Zuma is going to dismantle the ANC because the issue is going to be raised in the ANC conference. The journalist who is talking here and with Mahlengu, I think Bengu, Mahlengi Bengu, they still have something else coming. They haven't seen anything. They still have something else coming on their table. If they think that is that's done, that's what they are thinking. So when KZN goes there united, they are going to raise. Remember, KZN is the biggest voting region in South Africa. Is it after Gauteng? Yes, after Gauteng. KZN is the biggest voting region in South Africa, meaning KZN is one of the most important regions for South African politics. So, if the ANC, the Ramaphosa ANC cannot secure KZN, if they lose KZN, they are most probably going to lose Mpumalanga. They are going to lose Gauteng to President Zuma as well. President Zuma is going to raise the issue on the branches of the ANC are going to raise the issue in the conference of the ANC. And when they raise the issue in the conference of the ANC, President Zuma will win the conference. And when he wins the conference, President Zuma may be voted as the ANC president in 2029, which is what they are trying to fight against. When President Zuma can be elected as the ANC president in 2029, he merges the ANC with the MK party. The EFF has already collapsed into the MK party. I mean, the membership, the movement on the ground, it's massive. The leadership may still hold on because there's still a lot of money to gain there from the party. There's still a lot of life there to drain. Uh, it's only the draining which is happening, the draining of life from the EFF, which is happening. There's no revitalization of life in the EFF. The life in the EFF is getting drained. That's what is waiting for the EFF. The ANC's fate will happen uh, when the conference of the ANC happens. I think is it in 2027. So in 2029, President Zuma will be voted as president of South Africa. If President Zuma manages to win the conference of the ANC or manages to convince the conference of the ANC to allow him back, when they allow him back, President Zuma will be qualifying to stand for any position in the ANC. President Zuma may stand for re-election as the president of the ANC unopposed, because it's going to be tough in 2027 when the ANC goes to its national conference. Mzamo Mthembu says it's an insult that the richest country in the SADC is controlled by the four families, the Rupert, the Oppenheimers, the Miners, and the Motsepe, the Ramaphosa himself. It's an insult. It's an insult that everybody else have to be kicked out for only these greedy people to sell our soul to the Western world, to the Western people, to the evil system of the West. Ramaphosa sold black people to the evil system of the West and the American imperialism. What happened in 20 and in our 2024 election? It's a coup d'etat which has been planned a long time ago. These people have planned a global coup d'etat. They are not playing. In every country where elections are happening, they go and plan a coup d'etat. In South Africa, they managed to do it through a constitutional coup d'etat. So if the ANC, if the current GNU or whatsoever is part of what is happening or what is not happening in the ANC, if they think this is the end, let me share another video about the same issue, about what options that does President Zuma have.
This to expel former President Jacob Zuma from the party. Zuma was kicked out of the ANC in July after he was found guilty of violating Section 25 of its constitution by supporting another organization while still a member of the ANC. Zuma broke ranks and formed the Umkhonto weSizwe party back in December, saying he no longer identifies with the ANC under the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Let's get more reaction now. I'm joined by Mzwanele Manyi, who is the spokesperson for the JG Zuma Foundation. Mr. Manyi, good to have you on the program this evening, and thank you for joining us. So speaking about the recent developments that we touched on surrounding the former president's expulsion from the ANC, many are eager to know what steps he and the foundation are considering moving forward. Could you share some of the discussions or key discussions taking place about his next steps, if you will?
Yeah, good evening, Tanzania. Good evening to all your viewers. Firstly, it's quite bizarre that the ANC has taken 3 weeks to announce a predetermined decision, which it probably would have taken on the 1st of November already, when this whole kangaroo court was being put together. At this point where things are, in terms of His Excellency President Zuma, he's been very busy chairing a very successful National High Command, where most of the decisions are being taken, and the preparations for the launch for the first year birthday of the MK party is being planned. As you know, that on the 15th of December, all roads lead to the Mabhida Stadium, where that stadium will be packed to capacity. And this coming week, on Saturday, there's also going to be no space in Fostoras, when the MK party will also be doing a build-up program in terms of that anniversary. But be that as it may, tomorrow, after chairing this session of the National High Command today, tomorrow, as you would know, that we've got that tragedy in the KZN area, where His Excellency President Zuma will be attending the funeral of the 6 people that lost their lives while they were heading to Nkandla. So he's quite inundated, as it were. But he is aware of this reckless decision by the ANC. So he'll be indeed consulting his lawyers after all of this, somewhere in the coming few days, maybe Sunday or even Monday. He'll be consulting his lawyers. And the consultation that he'll be doing basically will be in 2 parts. He will consult the legal team. He'll also consult the political space. At a political level, the first place he's going to consult, obviously, it's his branch in Nkandla, to get them to understand what is the status quo. He'll also consult his region. He'll consult his province. And then in that process of political consultation, a view will be taken whether this must go to the highest decision-making structure of the ANC. As we know that all these structures that have been taking all these kinds of decisions, including the NEC, are all sort of interim kind of decisions, so to speak. The final decision maker on anything in the ANC is the conference. So whether the structures would advise him to do that, it's yet to be seen. But on the other hand, he also has another option to consult the legal team to check whether they can deal with this matter in the courts and all of that. Once all those consultations have been folded, His Excellency President Zuma will do a national address and talk to the nation and air his side of the story as to which way he's going to go. So we
is there any indication as to when is that going to happen?
Look, it will be after all the consultations have been done. So I expect that perhaps somewhere middle of the week, towards the end of the week, there will be an address to the nation by His Excellency President Zuma to indicate his attitude or his way forward on this what has happened. Before you put down, you know, having read that letter, it was quite interesting as a foundation when we looked at the letter quotes NDR. You know, NDR in the ANC locates the ideological posture of the ANC. Now, if the ANC is going to quote NDR, and yet they've got a first-hand pair with the DA, it's quite strange because everything that the DA stands for is against NDR. But the ANC to quote in that letter NDR is actually an insult to the NDR, that an organization that is in bed with an ideological enemy of the people, the DA. It's quite sad that you have that kind of a development.
You speak about the statement, and very interesting, we had Mahlengi Bengumutsiri, who's the ANC spokesperson, speaking to us in studio about these events, but also describing Zuma's actions as, I'll read it here, it says a direct attack on the historical mission of the ANC, also claiming very interestingly that by forming a rival political party, he indeed undermined core values like organizational loyalty, and they also cite collective accountability as well. How do you respond to these criticisms by the party?
Well, look, those are all the things that His Excellency President Zuma wanted to address, but they wouldn't even provide him the proper forum to address these things. He would have addressed all of those. So I suspect that in the national address that he'll be making, he'll probably reflect on some of those. But he wanted an opportunity to do this. And President Zuma, being such a transparent person, he actually even wanted it to be done in public because he's got nothing to hide. But I can tell you right now that all those concocted charges that have been laid against His Excellency President Zuma would fall flat, given the correct and transparent process. So what we've had so far is just a kangaroo court where they've been denying him all kinds of rights. The only positive thing out of this is that all of these developments have been happening online, so we've got a proper record of what has been happening for posterity. But in the meantime, His Excellency President Zuma is doing his consultation, and I'm sure when he deals with the address to the nation, he will reflect on each and every of these charges to say perhaps what he would have said in that kangaroo court had they allowed him to do so. Because basically all these decisions were actually taken unilaterally. The side of His Excellency President Zuma has not been aired. And as you say now, as you mentioned these things, you don't have answers. Nobody has answers because President Zuma hasn't been given a proper right of reply. So all of those matters will be dealt with at the appropriate forums. All I can say to you is that it's not over yet.
It's not over yet, Mr. Manyi, but also interesting. I mean, it goes without saying that former President Zuma has been a pivotal figure in South Africa's political history. In light of the ANC's decision now, and also the challenges he faces, how does the foundation see his role in the current political landscape? Has there been any discussion about how he envisions his future involvement in the country's political discourse?
His Excellency President Zuma has been with the African National Congress no less than 65 years. He is not about to give up that membership of the ANC. And for us, as a foundation, we respect President Zuma's wish to go to the grave as also an ANC member, as it were. We note the Ramaphosa ANC. All of us, we don't recognize it as the ANC. That thing is a shadow of the real ANC. When His Excellency President Zuma talks about the ANC, he talks about the ANC of Tambo, something which this current friend or coalition partner of the DA is not. So when we talk about the ANC, for us as a foundation and President Zuma, we're not talking about this coalition partner of the DA. We're talking about the real ANC. And His Excellency President Zuma wants an opportunity to show the people how the Ramaphosa ANC has deviated from the real ANC. I mean, if you have stalwarts like Babu Willis Mkhunu to join the MK party, that should tell you that people like that have invested everything they have in themselves to be in the ANC, for them to leave the ANC at this age must tell you that this is not the ANC of Tambo that we know. This is the ANC that even myself, I've been a member of the ANC for nearly 30 years. This is not the ANC that I grew up in. So this thing is a shadow of its former self, and therefore President Zuma needs an opportunity to address the nation to say that the ANC that he died, the ANC that many people died for, the ANC that he went to exile for, the ANC that he went to jail for more than 10 years in Robben Island, is what he's still a member of, and it's what the Ramaphosa ANC has deviated from. So the people of South Africa still need to hear His Excellency President Zuma's side of the story.
Yeah. As we wind down our conversation, Mr. Manyi, the ANC statement does suggest that Zuma's actions were not only political, but a personal affront to the party's mission. Given that Zuma has often emphasized this collective leadership, do you think his actions have been misunderstood? Or do you believe the ANC's core values themselves may need some kind of reassessment in light of some of the political changes that we see today?
The ANC of Ramaphosa, as we have it today, is not the real ANC. And therefore, whatever they say in their letter today, it's just comical, to be honest with you. We don't take it seriously. The real ANC of Tambo, in the first place, would not have done a Faustian pact with the DA, would not have done this. The fact that the Ramaphosa ANC is able to do that is proof enough to say this is not the ANC that everybody knows. So all those values that you're talking about are values that President Zuma stands for. And these are this is the opportunity that he wanted to display or to show, if they'd given him a proper hearing, to show that in him behaving the manner he has, it's because the ANC has veered off his way. Remember that President Zuma, a disciplined member of the ANC, in the last conference of the ANC, he decided that he's not going to go and be the elite sitting on the stage. He took a view that is going to be part of the delegation of the branch so that he can participate as a branch member. The reason he did that is because as a disciplined member of the ANC, he wanted to use the organizational structures to raise his issues. President Zuma makes a very sad point that in that meeting, he raised his hand so many times, but the
Yes, this is well known. This is well known that President Zuma was not allowed to speak in that conference. Raised his hand, and he was never given the opportunity to speak in that conference. It's not over yet. That's the message that Zwanele Manye carries to the journalist, to the SABC, and to the GNU, and also to the imperialist and the colonial master, that it's not over. That President Zuma is going to raise, that President Zuma's name will be raised in the floor of the conference, because he's going to consult with the ANC, and it may even be an earlier conference, because President Zuma is in a mission of bulldozing black people into uniting. That's his mission. President Zuma is in a mission of uniting black people at all cost. Those who are refusing to unite, he leaves them out and push towards unity. When you refuse, he leaves you out and strip you out of the membership. Refuse unity, he takes the members. So President Zuma is in a mission to unite, forcefully unite black people in South Africa, in order for black people to take their land from the white imperial system. What will the white system do when black people use the ballot or the legal route to actually win back the country? What will the system do? Are they going to allow black people to take over because they were democratically elected, or are they going to use force? What will the White House do? Because Donald Trump is not a kind man. He's not kind to Africa. He's not kind to Africans. He will continue with the policies that the foreign policy, or the old Africa policy that keeps us in debt and that keeps us in poverty. That's what they will want to continue doing. They associate with the leaders and give them lots and lots of money. The rest of the majority of people are left stranded, hungry, in slavery, creating one other issue that I recently observed, a humanitarian problem. That's what I wanted to say. Creating a humanitarian problem. The spaza shop issue is actually creating a humanitarian problem in South Africa. I saw some Pakistani people like stuck in the middle of nowhere. I saw painfully some Ethiopian police came to loot their shops. The looting of the Pakistani shops happening through by the state. Now by the guns of the state, the looting is now official. Some spaza shop having been looted by the police in some other areas in South Africa. People are being terrified now, even before the end of the 21 days that they have been given as a grace period, creating humanitarian problems. The spaza shop problem, it's an economic war. Let us not be fooled that it is the only problem with this Indian people, the Pakistan and the Ethiopian people, or my friends, that type. Uh, what they did when they arrived in South Africa, they wanted to behave the same way as white people. They were living in black communities but did not want to fully incorporate themselves into black communities. They only went there to collect the money and offer very, very poor services to black people. Only marry, only marry black people when they want the IDs, when they want the citizenship, and abuse them, uh, and never learn their language, because you think black people are foolish, forgetting, not knowing that black people are in these conditions because of the white system, which has allowed them to come into South Africa to be part of the people who will continue the sabotage of the black men and the black economy. So they did not want really to incorporate themselves fully. If you in the community, you learn their language, you marry their children, you allow your children to marry their children, then you become part of you become naturalized in that community, and nobody is going to remove you. Nobody is going to fight against you or deport you, because you've got people who will defend you. Now it's painful when I see these Pakistanis, because now they're stranded. They don't know where to go, what to do, and South Africans are just watching like you are not our friends. You know the difference between the Zamazamas in the northwest province and the Pakistanis is that the Zamazamas have incorporated themselves as members of the communities, and they are being defended by the communities. So, being defended by the community, given the water underground by the community, that's what the Pakistanis were supposed to do. But that is not, a sidetrack. I was not talking about that issue. What I'm talking about the issue of President Zuma, who is um, going to give a serious headache to the ANC. Is going to give a serious headache to the no, not necessarily the ANC, to the white system, because he's going to take over the ANC. That's what he's going to do. He's telling them his plan. Is going to talk to his branch, that this branch can talk to the uh, region, and the region will talk to the province, and the province will go united into the ANC conference, raise the issue to object this expulsion. The conference is the highest decision maker in the ANC. If the conference comes out to say, yes, the ANC committees have made mistake in expelling President Zuma, we want him back, then President Zuma will be back in the ANC, and the dynamic or the impact of that would be that President Zuma will qualify to stand for the presidency of the ANC. Paul Mashatile might be having President Zuma next to him in the ANC conference. In the ANC conference in 2027. So Paul Mashatile might be competing with President Zuma, or Paul Mashatile might become the deputy president of the ANC under President Zuma, under the presidency of Jacob Zuma. That is going to happen. And when it happens, then the ANC and the MK party would have merged. The mission that President Zuma has undertaken when he announced that he wanted to save the ANC from the white people would have been accomplished. So it's not necessarily saving the ANC, it's actually uniting the black people by force. He wants to forcefully unite black people because otherwise, for black people to unite, you first have to decolonize their mind, and decolonization of their mind need control of the system, the control of the education system, the control of the media, the control of the consumption of what people consumes. Then you can decolonize the mind in that way. So if you don't have control over those, you need the majority in order for you to get control. So for you to get the majority, some other people, you will have to force them into line for to get majority, because they are still under, their minds are still under their colonial system. Their minds are still under the slavery. They are still slaves of the system. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining the live stream. Thank you very much for listening to the opinion. Click the like button and subscribe to the Royal Opinion. This will be the end of the live stream. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens of the land.